Okay, so who's your favorite Formula One reporter and why it's not me?
Well, you haven't let me finish. Of course it's you. You know, we get to hang out on the beach together. You know, we do all sorts of romantic things that you said we weren't going to share with the audience, but you've made me say it now.
So when I tell my boyfriend that I can talk right now because I'm on South Beach with the other guy, you're the other guy.
I'm the other guy, and yeah, you know, you boyfriend. That always, you know, that's such a hurtful word.
Yeah. Heartbreaker, like walks. You went to Miami, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So what brings you to Poland again?
Yeah, well, very kindly, Red Bull have organised a small event with several of their current athletes, and have the opportunity to slip into my race suit again and drive the running show car. But this time, as you can see, probably behind me, I don't know how good that camera is. We're at a speedway course here, which is, as you well know, very popular in this country. A little bit popular in the UK as well. So I'm familiar with the sport, and yeah, we've got an action-packed day of entertainment. So I think it's a sellout crowd. Is it 12,000 people that can be in the stadium? But let's call it 20. It just sounds better.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
All right. So what was that? It's a fun question. What would be like the best memory, like the craziest thing you did during your, like, let's say, entertainment Formula One career with Red Bull?
Well, the craziest is probably being on the helipad in Burj Al Arab in Dubai, because that's, you know, right up there. It's very tall. But this is definitely different. You know, driving on dirt around an oval, it's not something you would expect to see very often with a Formula One car.
Yeah, but you also like did zero gravity exercise many years ago, like Western Space. It was called, wasn't it?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was
nothing special.
Yeah, that's the thing. But something like that, you're just a passenger. So something like this, or something like on the helipad, you have an element of control or influence. But when, you know, that's why I'm a fatalist in life. You know, when people are screaming on aircraft because there's turbulence, I'm just sitting there going, what can I do? I'm just here for the ride. So I think it depends on your perspective on things. But for me, where I have some kind of control is where I feel a bit more that I'm part of the process.
I'm the one who screams.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make the mountain run away.
True. We just saw a part of your history in Formula One. You've been there for many years. Has F1 changed for the better? I mean, in terms of all the environment and how it is as a sport.
I think the evolution is such that you just keep moving forward, don't you? And it's a lot more popular now than it was. So, as you know well, getting in and out of the tracks is more challenging than maybe it was several years ago. But that's part of it. We're all involved, one, because it's a job, and two, because we really enjoy that job. And whether you're a fan turning up to watch it, or whether you're, you know, working in the media turning up to report about it, or, you know, create some of the content, I think that we're all there because we want to be, and it still remains, for me, essentially the same, which is the highest level of technology, the best motorsports teams coming together. And I don't want to be disrespectful to so many of the great motorsports challenges that are out there, but when I say the best, I mean they have the most freedom in terms of creative technology, and that is something that sets Formula One apart from other major championships.
So the fans question again, I think it kind of resonates. How much has Formula changed when it comes to fun? Because I do remember these McLaren parties, Cirque du Soleil, and, you know, all the launches and so on. And now it's not like that anymore. So I think you know better. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think that over time, the way companies engage has changed. There's a lot more regulation and control which needs to be considered, and that doesn't necessarily mean that what we were doing before was kind of out of control. It wasn't. You know, it was high, as you say, Cirque du Soleil. You know, it's an incredible world-class performance, and if you bring that together with Formula One, I think it elevates both positions. But I think today it would be unlikely for any of the teams to really do that in the same way. That's why I think the Red Bull are so remarkable, that they're more than a Formula One team. They're two Formula One teams, a Grand Prix track, and a huge sort of creative process behind leveraging the fact that they're a Formula One team. And in that respect, not just because I've been part of the journey, but sincerely, I think that they do more for the sport than other teams do. You know, Ferrari are an incredible brand. They have the prancing horse, but they're just there for themselves, if you know what I mean. Whereas I feel that, you know, what we're all part of here is partly self-serving, but it's also delivering for people a level of entertainment and access that few other teams do.
Yeah, but still, it seems that there's like for sure more money and less entertainment. I think like the paddock is a bit more close, maybe not to the people from the outside, but you know, you used to be welcome in Ferrari as a journalist. I'm you know, writing journalist for many years, or in Red Bull station.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, as I say, less fun, you know, less entertainment. I remember like McLaren's lunch when like their barmans were dancing on the bar at one point, and now it's gone.
Yeah, look, I think that inevitably as the sports become even more popular, there's more demands on all of the teams' space. So there's more partners, more sponsors, and that they all need and deserve some area, and I think that's why inevitably it becomes a bit more challenging. But I don't see that as anything other than the natural evolution of a popular sport. You know, I think that even the small teams today are able to run as a business, which in the past I think a lot of teams were never making any money, which I think we can all agree you would not necessarily go into any business where you're guaranteed to lose money knowingly. So I think that the sport is in a much healthier place, but of course that comes with certain regulations. You know, it's a bit like air travel. You know, I'm old enough to remember when you just arrived at the airport 20 minutes before the flight, walked to the aircraft and got on. Now you have to be a lot more disciplined and go through all the process of taking your clothes off, putting them back on again, and then going to the flight.
We know it worked for decades, like this burning money exercise. Yeah, people, teams not earning money.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, from a marketing point of view, it absolutely did. But yeah, look, and maybe we'll be back. There's cycles in life, isn't there? We're going through a different cycle right now, but end goal is still the same: entertainment, fun, having a good time.
That's why I believe that V8s will be back in Formula One, and I'm serious on that.
Really? Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah, absolutely. With biofuels, yeah, it'll be interesting.
We can hear one here.
We're here to, yes. What we're doing is we're keeping it alive in the minds and the ears of the local fans.
There are a lot of great cars here in Wrocław. Would you ever, one of them is a WRC car, would you ever consider going to the rallies?
I've been along to watch. I was in Kallego Rovanpery's rally car last year, an event we did with Mika, another colleague of ours, and that was a fantastic experience. You know, a bit crazy what they do, but that's their world. You know, they've grown up in that space, and that's normal. Which, you know, I'm used to, let's say, the confines of a regulated racetrack, not a forest and all the things they do. Not that there's an exact science, but for me, I think that the rally drivers are the most, let's say, talented, or whatever word you want to use, of the racing, you know, of the automobile competitors, because they have to deal with dust, sand, ice, you know, gravel, tarmac. They're very adaptable. And I think even when you look at a great champion in Formula One like Kimi Räikkönen, when he went to rally, he could be competitive, but he was not winning the championship because it's such a high level of. I think they're the masters of driving 99% everywhere. Where I think, like, if you're a Formula driver, you know, try and achieve 100% where you can. And I think 100% in a rally car probably is shortly followed by a tree coming through the side of the car. You know, I think they're just incredibly good at being very close to the limit, but without going beyond it.
I think like the racing drivers are the fastest, but I agree with you that like rally drivers, when you look like overall,
Yeah, very talented.
Yes, but I think from what I know, Mika just unfastened his seatbelt after going up,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't race down.
Yeah, absolutely. He was smarter than me. He undid his belts. I was scared to undo my belts just in case something happened. So.
I guess it must have been a shock because I think I know because I also went to WRC with Robert Kubica for many years, so I see the difference. But I think that people in Formula One, they see, sometimes they look at the onboards, they think they know, but actually when you get in the car with a Rovanpery, you really realize how fast it is.
Oh, it's very, very fast. It's incredible. It's a real rush. I definitely happy to have tried it, but yeah, I'm not rushing back to do it again.
I know the feeling. So let's skip to the current things. Would you agree that we're seeing kind of a change? Because Leclerc won Monaco, but from what we can see, actually, it seems that McLaren has the fastest car now. Do you see that change?
I think that, as I have been saying since the beginning of the year, this is the closest Formula One that we've seen in terms of lap time spread between the fastest car and the slowest car. So I didn't predict, I sort of, excuse me, very unprofessional, I didn't switch off my phone. It's an insurance company trying to sell me some life insurance in case I go in a rally car. Yeah, to come back on that, I've been saying since the beginning of the year that this is the closest era of Formula One. If you look at the difference in lap time between pole position and 20th in any of the top, the first part of qualifying, that's your ultimate gauge of how it is. And I didn't predict that Red Bull would have the same level of success that they had last year, because that was so remarkable, such a out of this world situation, that at this level it's simply a fantasy for anyone to think that you can dominate the way that they were able to last year. And in such a competitive sport like Formula One, there's always going to be situations where your car just isn't quite as well suited to the circumstance, or the track conditions, or if you get a safety car at the wrong time, we can all, pull a victory in those situations. But that's the ebb and flow of the sport. I think it's the sport's in a great place. I think that Red Bull, like Ferrari, like McLaren, like whoever your favourite team is, they're all working incredibly hard. None of them are idiots. They're all doing remarkable job to be competitive, and it'll be interesting to not see one race in a point of time, but of course it's over the season. So then we'll judge who did the better job. So at various points, McLaren have been the quickest car on track, Ferrari have been the quickest car, Red Bull have been the quickest car. There's been various moments where that's been the case. But I think that it's not about trying to hang on to one moment. I think it's about the championship as a whole. And I think it's great for the sport, even though it's, let's say, more difficult when you're used to success. For the people, let's say, at Red Bull who've been there for a number of years, they know that success is something that if you get it, you really have to savor it. For those that have just joined, they think, last year they think, well, this is pretty easy. I'm part of a world championship winning team. And therefore they're probably thinking, well, this isn't as much fun this year. But it's just, this is what it is. This is the pinnacle of motor racing, and it should be difficult.
A lot is happening off track as well, with Adrian Newey being the big name in the Formula One market. You know Adrian Newey's cars. You've raced in Adrian Newey's cars. How do you remember your cooperation? How was it with him?
Yeah, Adrian I've worked with since Williams, back when I was a test driver, and then during that McLaren era, and then obviously when I joined Red Bull, that was part of in trying to build a structure that could see the team have success. Adrian would be on anyone's wish list, in the same way that a Max would be, or depending on who your favourite driver or designer is. So the journey of that has been incredible. But I think that what Adrian's been doing, as well as the team over the last few years, is putting in place structures where it's not reliant on one person. And no matter how self-important any one individual feels, history would suggest that the world keeps spinning, whether that person is involved or not. So I think that rather than looking at it as oh my goodness, this is a bad news that Adrian's decided to move on, I think actually the celebration of what was achieved over what was it, 17 years or 16 years, I can't remember exactly how many years he was with the team. Remarkable that he stayed there for so long. Drivers don't stay with teams that long unless you're an old retired one like myself. So it's always been a sport that if you can maintain a relationship for a decade, that's quite remarkable. So the team will, you know, continue on without Adrian being involved in the same way over the coming weeks, months, and then inevitably he'll morph into fully focusing on RB17, I think they call it, the road car, and then he'll either go sailing or he'll go and eat some pasta or he'll go back to Didcot or Woking. I don't know where he's going to go, and you know what I very much hope is whatever he does it for himself, his own health and well-being, and not because of somebody else like my colleague on the podcast I do, his manager Eddie Jordan, pushing him a direction, or anyone. You know, it has to be. It's a very personal decision. It's a little bit like when I stopped racing in Formula One. I knew I was ready to stop racing. I never knew or imagined what that would be until I knew. So there's different phases of your life. So if you have doubts, you're better doing nout. You're better not doing anything. So I hope that whatever Adrian does in the future, it's because it absolutely feels like some sort of vision from whoever you believe in that this is the right thing to do. Because if he does it because he feels he has to, or someone else wants him to, I think at his age, which is a wee bit older than my age, you'll only end up in a situation where you're not fully committed. And as Jackie Stewart has said many times, you can't be a little bit pregnant. You're either committed or you're not. So.
Yeah, and he already bought a boat. So I think Eddie says that since he bought a boat and you bought a boat, that's probably he might not come back.
A boat isn't going to sail itself, but if he doesn't want to go sailing in it, I'm very happy to, you know, step back and go around the world on his boat.
You might have a say, because wasn't it you that helped Christian Horner to lure Adrian Newey to Red Bull in the first place?
Well, I was part of the team in the beginning, and part of that role was to try and bring people together that you felt could influence the performance going forward, because clearly where the team was at the time Red Bull bought it was, I don't know where they were in the constructors, but there was not a highly successful team. But over the years, it's become better. World class, some would say.
Thanks to you.
Well, I played a part like everyone else in the team, yeah. So.
I think 24/6 race starts. You've had lots of interesting teammates. Who was your favorite guy to work with?
I've been very lucky, actually, that I retained, let's say, friendships with a lot of my teammates. Damon was my first teammate, and he actually called me yesterday about something unrelated, and I sent him the video, and he's a big motorbike guy, so I sent him the little video, embargoed that he couldn't post it, from the speedway, and he was like, God, he would love to have been here driving that. So I maintained a good relationship with him. We go back to my McLaren days. Mika and I spend a lot of time together socially away from Grand Prix, and we work together with Viaplay on things. You know, Tony Liuzzi, Christian Klein, these guys that I was with, Robert Dornbos, you know, these guys that I was with at Red Bull. I was the older driver, so they were young kids in many ways. But yeah, I can't really say there's one. You know, Mark Webber, I spend a lot of time with in Monaco. He lives very close by. You know, he manages Oscar. My office helps with some of the stuff for Oscar as well. So yeah, I don't really have a you know, the one that I probably have the least. Let's say who I don't have his number would be Kimi.
That's what I.
But then he didn't really speak a lot when we were teammates, so I don't really know what we'd speak about now. You know, I like Kimi. I don't dislike him. I just, hi Kimi. I don't know what else. You know, how's your son's karting going? I wouldn't really know what else to talk to him about because I don't know him. I don't. You probably know him better than I do. I know he was an incredibly fast Formula One world champion. Beyond that,
well, at least we had some interviews, so probably we talked more to him.
You talked to him, yeah.
No, it was not that much, because remember once in Brno you were there with Kimi, with McLaren, and I had co-drive with Kimi, and he was really like such a joy to, you know, spend the time with. He was answering my questions about, you know, the car and grip and so on. Yeah. And then we get to do an interview, and I'm asking the first question, and he's just like, no.
Yeah, for a minute, you thought that it's going to be a nice interview when he talked to you in the car.
Yeah.
But when he was having fun, it was really joyful. But then when we went to do the job, he was just Kimi.
Yeah.
But I heard like opinion of Robert says, Kubica, that Kimi has like this absolutely immense talent, unbelievable talent. But if he would work as hard, then maybe he would be world champion more.
Yeah, he was unlucky, I think, in the majority of that McLaren era. The car, when he could have been having more success, it was a little bit unreliable. But when you mentioned Robert, I think Robert was one of the great talents of Formula One that sadly with the rally accident was not able to fulfill his potential. But yeah, there's guys like Robert, like Kimi, like Mika, who are just naturally, probably without even fully understanding why, they're just naturally very fast. And then you've got, let's say, maybe a Michael or a Seb or whoever you want to pick, who are quick, but they also work. They work with their engineers. They're, you know, really putting that effort in. And it seems that, you know, maybe Akimi and Robert, these guys are just, in anything they jump in, they can be very fast, which is a great talent to have.
Which one are you?
I have to work. I have to work. I don't have that natural talent, but I don't mind that. I'm happy with the journey I had. I got great opportunities, and here I am, still involved somehow.
Yeah, we won 13 Grand Prix. You won Macau. I checked today.
Yeah,
whoa,
absolutely, Macau. That was I think street circuits. I always felt comfortable in those environments. So, you know, Pole, Macau, Monaco. I think, well, even in Singapore, which was the first year of Singapore, my last year, I scored points there. I wasn't winning, unfortunately, but yeah, no, street tracks, they take a discipline and a commitment, and it's about knowing your boundaries. If you don't get too creative with where the boundaries are, then I think you can be quick on a street circuit.
Would you mention Macau as one of your biggest wins? Because
100%. And Ayrton often would talk about, when people asked him about you know, his favourite time, he would mention karting. When they asked him about one of the greatest racetracks, he'd say Macau. So if anyone has been to Macau, they understand it's like Spa morphed with Monte Carlo. You've got elevation change, you've got high speed, you've got low speed, you've got barriers everywhere. It's an insane place to have a race, but that's why when you finish a lap or finish the race, it's a really big reward. And I think that there was a phase, and I think it's calmed down a little bit, but there was a phase in Formula One where the tracks were, there was more runoff than there was racetrack, because somebody somewhere decided, my God, you know, life is dangerous, but we cannot have anyone hit anything ever. And then slowly but surely we're coming back to more street circuits, more entertainment based, and you enter the sport if you feel that you're prepared to accept the challenge. A bit like, you know, it would be like boxing, putting them in a football field and saying you had to stay in your own half, and it was all like shadow boxing or something, because it might hurt if you punch somebody in the head. So I think that in the end, sports people make their choices, assume their responsibility, and, you know, go racing.
And you go back to also to gravel traps, which is, I think,
every
driver welcomes that, huh?
Yeah, consequence is a good thing.
Huh? Why do the drivers complain so much about heavy cars? I mean, I know, but I need your perspective, because you're the driver.
I think there's an element of, you've got so much energy in a day, and if you are using your energy for campaigning for something that you can't control, you're just using energy. So I think that the drivers would all prefer, and I've certainly seen when they've been interviewed, those, you know, like your Fernandos or your Lewises or the guys that have been around and have experienced the lighter cars, of course they prefer the lighter cars. It's a faster, more nimble, more enjoyable thing. You know, if I give you the choice of a Ferrari road car or a brand new Volvo truck, you're probably going to take the Ferrari road car in terms of performance. If you need to move some heavy loads, you'd take the truck. But anyway, my point, maybe not the most elegant point, but the point is, of course, you want performance, but you've got to focus on what you have. And the regulations are hybrid Formula cars with halos and big wheels and tires, and all of that means extra weight. So, you know, we're in a similar situation with this, because we've got you know, RB7, which is a small, nimble V8, but in the future we're going to RB, whatever it is, for the show runs, which will be a bigger car, which somebody in marketing thinks that will make a big difference. It just makes it more difficult to be on small environments because you've got a bigger car. So, but it is what it is. I could use energy expressing that beyond this question as an example, but in the end it's, you know, I'll just do my job, which is turn up, drive it. It'll just be a bit more tricky, and we'll be a bit more limited in what we can do because the environment doesn't fit. You know, people complain about Monaco. But the cars have got bigger and heavier. The track didn't get smaller. So if you put bigger and heavier cars on a track that's the same size, you know, I'm pretty sure at very low levels, school, a kid would be able to go, is it because it's bigger it can't overtake as much? You know, it wouldn't. I don't think we need to be in university to get somebody to go, okay, that's going to be more challenging.
So to finish off with like the dream, keep it simple, dream Formula One car by David Coulthard, what do we do?
Normally aspirated, biofuel, high downforce, slick tyre, not smaller than they are currently, because I think that just gives drivers options given the circuits that we race on. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good representation of Formula One, and we'd have a lot of tech, and we'd be developing things that definitely can help, you know, mobility in the future.
Thank you so much.
You heard the man.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.